From reaching trail to the Great March, from the aging ocean to the endless sea, from Fisherman's Row to Godcroft's, live from Studio A in PressCorps World Headquarters, this is Foxhole Flash, bringing you the latest news from across the Siva Valley war zone.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. For the PressCorps, I'm Jeffrey Jennings. Here in the 53rd conflict of the Foxhole War, it's day 131, the evening of day 131. Wardens continue their major offensive into the central regions, turning the tables and putting the Colonials well onto the back foot. In Lockmore, the Wardens have completely swept through the region, and despite attempted Colonial resistance at Moon's Copse, the relic base there, the Wardens have finally pushed the Colonials off and locked down the region, including, of course, the central city of Fairmore, part of the initial push from Market Road to the west, a clean sweep from Fairmore through the observation tower south of it, and then Royal Fort before closing in on the aforementioned Moon's Copse. In Marben Hollow, skipping over there for just a moment, Wardens again taking the major city in the region, this time Maiden's Vale, as well as the eastern relic base at Oster Wall. Colonials do have the remaining town at Lockheed, and considering that is a peninsula as well as the surrounding breakers, it's going to be a tough nut to crack. So Colonials do have a presence in the region, at least for now, but Wardens are well on the warpath here. And finally, that brings us to the Deadlands, where the Wardens have not only retaken a majority of the northern half of the region, but have broken in towards the southwest as well. Sun's Hollow, and the Wardens now looking like, zooming out here at the strategic map as a whole, the Wardens now looking like they're going to try and pincer abandoned ward and create a pocket in which to trap the Colonials there. We actually now go to Colonial correspondent Lord Cars, who is at Abandoned Ward, the embattled Abandoned Ward. Let's see if we can get this working. Lord Cars, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Lord Cars, you are currently at Abandoned Ward, I believe. What is the current situation for you there?
There's a lot of fighting going on. Wardens have been howling us for pretty much constantly most of the time. They've recently brought down one of our G houses, and they've been trying to gas us out across from the bridge and separate the safe house from in the northern plaza region from the abandoned ward area.
By a rough estimate, how many Colonials do you think, give us a range, how many Colonials do you think are trying to hold the city right now?
9 to 11.
Okay, odd numbers. Interesting. Do you think the Colonials will need more to actually hold on to the town?
I mean, the Wardens haven't been using their howitzers combatively. They've only been using them to destroy our G houses. Okay. So, probably not. But if they get more guys on us, then probably.
I see. Has there been any major incursions into the city, any successful Warden incursions into the city, or is it mostly, has it mostly been skirmishing?
It's all plaza.
Say again?
It's isolated plaza fighting. It's fighting to the plaza mostly.
Fighting in the plaza, yes.
Both the bridges are blown.
Okay, I see. And those bridges will certainly need to be taken and rebuilt if the...
Lodgy wants to get to the safe house in the north.
Exactly. Colonials, I believe Colonials do have all three safe houses in the abandoned ward area, that sector, which is the two safe houses to the north and one on the western edge of the town. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And
it is correct.
And do Colonial infantry also hold those safe houses, or are the Wardens right up against it?
We have a small buffer across pretty much a street and a half.
Okay.
Pretty much a street, and then up the hill. So, if you're familiar with the eastern portion of the plaza, there's like a small hill going towards Cal's Boot, and that's where the Wardens are pushing from.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that's a good question. What is the condition of Callahan's Boot, and more importantly, I guess, for the Colonials there across the river from Callahan's Boot in the south?
I don't know. It looks like the Wardens are also pushing inside too. But right now, it's the Wardens are pushing us from Cal's Boot, and
so he ran
it's under full Warden control.
And then he ran
All right, yeah, absolutely sounds chaotic over there. Do you notice any colonial regiments that may be working together in mass, or is it mostly unincorporated troops?
Unincorporated troops, but a lot of veterans.
A lot of veterans. How about the Wardens? Same question.
Well, I've only seen one ASS member, but that's all really. I've only seen a couple Wardens really, but I know there's a lot of them from what my radio says.
I see. Let's see.
Yeah, you can hear that Warden talking.
You might even just let the.
Watch your flag.
I can hear what's going on over there.
Alright.
Just let that go on for a minute. Describe what's going on right now where you are.
Right now, we're trying to take down their Foxholes that's holding the road to Calhoun up here, as riflemen with grenade launchers also firing grenades at it.
Yeah.
We have Wardens are trying to stop us from it, and the Wardens are currently north of us, and they have I don't know how much people, but they've been taking pot shots out of us.
Have you noticed any Warden armor, such as the armored cars? No armored cars.
No Warden armor.
At least not for the moment being.
Yes.
I do believe APCs have been deployed to the war now, so those may be brought forward very soon, but we'll obviously have to wait and see. That would actually be perfect for infiltrating the city as well, I just remembered. APCs standing for Amphibious Personnel Carrier, for those who do not know. And
I have eyes on the Warden field base. It's around like 90 meters out. Lodge is continuing to deliver supplies to it.
And that's safe to reveal, because the Colonials also know where that is.
Yeah, I can see it from here.
It's very apparent.
Did they got any frags here?
We have a couple of mortarmen over here that are firing on any Wardens they can spot. Really, it's kind of hard to see them.
Would it be possible? And we'll see if they're willing to talk to us. If not, that's fine.
Back to the bridge in the morning, guys.
Any questions, such as what they're trying to fire at, how they're doing?
I told you to stop desert.
I'm asking one of them right now.
On the other side of the building where I saw shots coming towards us.
Hey, take a step back.
They're trying to fire at the other side of a building where they saw shots fired at. One of the mortarmen are. The other one died. He got shot.
Now we should actually clarify, because there is an actual regiment called the Mortarmen.
I have successfully salvaged boys of
Are these Mortarmen, or are they?
I met a Warden surrendering to us right now under the name Bob Semple, the Warden.
Boys.
Oh, all right.
No young smoke. Friends. Okay, I surrender.
Yeah, he's surrendering, but the Wardens are howling us right now, so I gotta run. Holy shit, we're getting. Yeah, I'm getting shot at. I gotta pull back for a bit.
Throughout this entire gas, you're just a guy.
Now I'm curious as to why a Warden would be surrendering to the Colonials, considering they're the ones on the offensive.
I don't know. Maybe bad conditions.
Maybe it was a feint.
Maybe.
A decoy.
Wardens. Yeah, I'm retreating for a minute.
Right.
I got shot.
Give me a second, I'll reach the Bob one. Cover me!
Absolute chaos and abandoned ward. We have live here on the air with us PressCorps Colonial Correspondent Lord Cars, live at the besieged city. They're just joining us. Both safe houses on the northern side of the river, are still up, as well as, but the bridges are down as well. So even though logistics will have a hard time getting to these safe houses, the Wardens are not going to be able to cross in for a while.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. We went for the same guy at the same time. It's like
These safe houses are pretty well stocked, Jeffrey, and yeah. The Wardens are pushing back. They've disassembled the barbed wire that was halted previously. And I see them across. They're literally one house away from me at the moment.
Okay.
Wordies. I want some chocolate. We need to get a little bit there off the bridge on our side. So you want some chocolate?
Yeah, they're getting pretty close to us at the moment. You can see them from the safe house. Wow.
Hey boys, Wardens are probably gonna try to close off the
You
bridge.
want to turn that thing around?
Stay right there.
Game push the dock.
They're gonna blow it up.
I have 2 separate push the docks. Yeah.
Yo, fucking lock it. It don't matter.
They're coming.
Yeah, it is a separate push the dock. FT is my Foxhole push the dock, and Roger. Let me do that.
Meanwhile, in other news, combined casualties here on the 132nd day of fighting, topping off at 202,000 dead. Warden casualties.
Roger, is this better?
That actually, I think that is. Thank you, Cars.
Okay.
But Wardens leading the casualty count, 105,000 casualties to the Colonial 97,000 casualties. Hardly a gap considering how high these numbers are, and it makes sense considering the Wardens are on the offensive.
Oh shit, they just took down one of our flatbeds. Oh no, they're howling the safe house.
Does the safe house have an artillery shield?
Yes, it does.
It does,
Yes, it
okay.
does.
And for those who don't know, that means that any fire support, mortar, artillery, howitzer, will do damage up until a certain point. After that, it will not. So the infantry or armor will have to get in there and actually demolish it up close and personal.
We're almost circled on all sides. We're getting pushed by all Wardens.
All right,
They're
Lord.
starting to gas out our safe house.
All right, Cars, do your best to get yourself out of there safely.
Yeah, I got it. There goes our last Foxhole. Yeah, but they're at the safe house.
Not gonna help you that much.
Is it even possible to swim across back to the river, or are the Wardens there too?
Wardens are there too. I can go check right now. There might be a couple garrisons. Yeah, no, it is possible to cross the river.
All right.
The Wardens are pushing from the northeast, north, and northwest, and west. All those directions are under Warden control, and we have the southeast and the east currently under our control.
One has to wonder if the Wardens will try and completely encircle Abandoned Ward and Liberation Point together first, or if they will simply force I'm forgetting the words, but almost circle it, almost pincer it, but not close the pincer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, the Howies are opening up on our safe house again.
Yo, where's all that SMG ammo?
Oh, it's...
Yeah, they're gassing out our safe house. They're closing in on us from all directions, except from the southeast. And they have a sniper that's just shooting at us from max range.
Sniper is a very niche role here in the Foxhole War, but in cases of non-maneuvering emplacements or non-maneuvering targets, they can be very handy. Snipers can be very handy at keeping things suppressed, especially builders, medics, anything that'll need to stay still for a while.
Yes. Yeah, I understand that. He's pretty good at this. He's picking us off really fast. I don't see him anymore.
Oh, this might be the first time in the history of warfare that snipers could actually be useful, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but possible.
Yeah.
You know, we also have with us, possibly on the line here, PressCorps intern Saq A. Saq A, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. How's it going right now?
Let's see if we can get into his transmission. Are you, PressCorps Warden correspondent? This is PressCorps Warden correspondent Saq A. Tell me, where are you right now, actually?
Right now I am on the Warden side of the abandoned ward push right now. We're pushing from the northwest side of Callahan's boot right now. Looks like to be some kind of heavy fighting. Aside from that, we made a good solid push, but now kind of getting some resistance back. As you can see right here around, we have some defenses built up. We have a fob already up in place, but it looks like the bordermen are able to find the fob over here. They're just a matter of time before they kind of zone in.
Yeah, we're hearing those mortar shots loud and clear. You may want to stay clear of the emplacements.
Yeah, the Wardens have pushed to our direct north and destroyed the hospital of the plaza, and they're in the building right behind it, and they're using the peek out to shoot anybody that goes down the alleyways.
We're actually going to go back to Saq A here. Stick with Saq A here for just a moment. Are the Wardens across the river? Are they south of Callahan's boot?
Right now, currently, the Wardens are not across the river. What we're doing right now is we're fighting over We're fighting over this destroyed hospital. There are close quarters combats in here. There are people fighting in buildings, and it looks like a couple bayonet rushers here, if I'm not mistaken. But
I should say, this isn't Callahan's boot anymore then. This is kind of near, if we're talking about the hospital north of abandoned ward,
right
this is the plaza / Pablo Annex. So we actually have Lord Cars with PressCorps Colonial correspondent Lord Cars, as well as PressCorps Warden correspondent Saq A, both reporting on the same battle from two different sides. Very interesting here.
Fuck them out!
Yeah, I almost just got bayoneted. I have to retreat real fast. I don't want to have that happen. That'd be very bad. Yeah, I see a lot of Wardens from my binos, but they're all bunched up near the buildings and on the rooftops. No, I'm fucking dead.
Oh, PressCorps reporters never die, don't say that.
Oh yeah, I forgot that I don't have push the dog.
We are making some close at these coordinates. Seems to be H6 keypad 7. HK keypad 7. That's where the fighting is getting close at hand, right there at the hospital. And it seems like
from what I've seen, they're right next to the Wardens are right up at our safe house. They're using HMGs are exchanging fire at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like if we continue on this push, then we may be able to do some severe damage over to the plaza, maybe drive them back over to the abandoned ward. But if not, if we have too many people just not engaging at all in the front, we will lose this entire ground. Right now we're getting up some Howies set up in position so we can start getting their Foxhole or getting their safe house down and out of the fight. And got a couple watchtowers being built, nothing too fancy, but we are starting to see a lot of casualties mount up. There's people running around with bayonets.
Right there.
Holy shit!
There is a
people
lot of
running around with bayonets. There's a lot of fist fighting going on.
Bayonets and hospitals usually don't go well together.
As you can see, this guy just got completely bodied.
Can you describe the kind of weaponry and assets that the Wardens are employing here on the safe house in the plaza?
The Wardens are usually going for standard. Sorry, hold on a sec. Usually the Wardens right now are employing kind of just standard close quarter combat weaponry. We're using a bunch of SMGs. Guaranteed they have like 4 or 5 mags in there. You got a couple of brave medics who are up on the front lines actually right now with us. And you have a lot of bayonets. Well,
that's going to be what's going to be needed in the crown jewel of the Deadlands and probably one of the largest cities here in the Siva Valley war zone. I'm hearing mortars. Are those colonial mortars or Warden mortars?
Nice.
Those are colonial mortars.
So we have a battery counter battery situation here, and I'm not sure either side knows which one's the counter battery.
It's more like one guy with a mortar that's doing a really good job.
Okay.
He's keeping them. He's prevented the Wardens from getting to the safe house yet. Yeah.
I will say it is going to be a tough one for the Wardens. We are right at their doorstep with their active AI. This is not going to be an easy push.
I'm hearing some dialogue from, is that the local commander as well?
Warden howitzer batteries opening fire on the house to the southwest.
Oh, it's a Foxhole guys, yeah, push the Foxhole guys up here.
Our safe houses to the southwest. It's getting pretty close to us. Surprised the avenue started shelling us.
Sorry. Medic.
We need a wrench here to wrench this bar by. It would be nice to use it.
Hey, who's calling medic?
This wall here.
It looks like we have a local lieutenant colonel organizing this fence right here. Making some ground, pushing out 5 guys.
Holy shit.
We made it to Callahan's statue. What's the emo for that? I think that's the fist, yeah?
Yes.
I can see a massive horde of Wardens amassing on northwest. I see like 13 riflemen. I see around 13 riflemen just got mowed down on our northwest.
How many gas green ash grenades have hit? Actually, is that gas artillery or is that gas grenades hitting the safe house?
Those are gas grenades hitting the safe house, and I see around. Oh, yeah, that's gas grenades hitting the safe house, but the actual howitzer battery is trying to shell our G house to the southwest. As the Wardens from the northwest are pushing in on us, they're near the Callahan statue. It seems like we've been pushed out of all the outer layer of our defenses except for the east. All the Wardens are coming in, and they're closing in on the safe house at the moment. Situation's kind of bad over here. We have enough shirts to last, but we're down to our last couple of rounds, it seems like.
On the other flip side, over near Callahan's boot, right next to the bridge at the pits, we're kind of losing ground over here.
Oh, yeah, you're dead. Yo, target the dude in the middle. He's already bleeding. Why would he target the other guy? Fucking dumbass.
Hey, look. Seems like if they have one push over at the pits bridge, they could probably pull enough guys to cover that flank and allow the Colonials to gain more ground back up to where they had lost previously. They might even be able to rebuild that hospital if they get enough guys over to the Pitts Bridge and make a big old push on there.
One of our logi trucks just tried to come into the town and it got shot at. It's currently disabled around 20 meters away from us outside of the safe house, so it's pretty much a Warden truck at this point. It's not in any safe control.
Now, morning has broken here on day 133, I believe. So that's gonna be a huge boon to any fire support spotters. They can now see where all the infantry is. No more hiding in the shadows here. And I'm sure that a new barrage has just opened up on the safe house. Near the safe house.
Yeah, we're getting gassed out in this safe house right now. It's getting kind of gnarly. It's getting quite bad, but we got supply shipments coming in from across the river. Infantry
go to the door.
Yeah, Wardens are currently bunched up around a Callahan statue and using the railings down the chute to start being defensive. Warden heavy guns have been shelling this howitzer all night long, pretty much. Have been shelling this G house. It's getting quite low.
That's the house across the street from the safe house.
It might be. I don't know though.
My sniper rifle.
Wardens, and I think I know the Wardens pretty well. They will do anything they can to protect Callahan's statue, and it looks like they're fighting hard for it right now.
You guys aren't protecting Callahan's statue. You guys are just... There's a lot of combat over there, but it isn't really protecting. Warden howitzer. Oh my god, it will not stop firing left, right, and all day long.
Yeah, it looks like the Wardens are now entrenched inside of these ruined houses right now. It's going to be a difficult counterattack for these colonials. The only thing that these colonials are having on their side is their active defenses, which, if we are able to shell that safe house, their defenses will be completely done, and we won't overrun them.
Pick up a bandage, man. Come on, heal yourself up. Shut the fuck up. Like, calm down, man. It looks like the howitzer is let up and the G house has been destroyed. The Wardens around the Callahan statue have been firing at us all day long.
If you're just joining us here on the air, if you're just joining us here on the station, then thank you for listening, as always. We have two PressCorps correspondents. Former correspondent Lord Cars reporting live from inside a safe house in the plaza north of abandoned ward. Warden correspondent Saq A, very close nearby on the Warden side of the battle lines, just outside of the plaza, looking at local skirmishing in and around the area. Tell me, Lord Cars, we're listening to your audio now. Lord Cars, do Wardens have control of that church north of your position?
Yes, they do.
They do.
They have complete control.
And are there any other colonial colonial garrison houses nearby?
Colonial garrison houses? The last one was destroyed around, like, 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
So, no, do not have any control. Just destroyed a truck that's been mobile for a while.
I was about to say, I don't think anyone was getting it out of there.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of these Wardens. They're bunched up around the Callahan statue to the northwest. They've been trying to push us for a while, but we have around 3 guns that are pointing at it at all times, so can't get close enough to fire.
Switching over to Saq for just a moment here. How confident do you think, just based off your preliminary look at things, How confident are you that the Wardens, excuse me, are going to be able to push off the Colonials from these safe houses?
I have a strong feeling that it's going to be a little bit of a stalemate. This will probably take at least another in-game day for this push to go ahead.
You need bandages for your medkits.
We have the church secured right now. All we're working on right now, we're kind of just working on these garrison houses, to be completely honest with you. We're not really too concerned about pushing. We're going to leave all of the major destruction to the artillery that's been hammering them for the past couple in-game days. But right now we do have control fully of the church right here. As you can see, some guy just got bottomed with a sniper rifle. And not really too much going on right here at the moment.
I just saw that happen.
Small skirmishes.
Meds. Anyone got meds over here?
I just saw the guy that shot him with the sniper rifle. Holy hell.
Can you name the sniper?
As you can see, we're
Omelet King, a part of the 404th. Officer Cadet Omelet King, a part of the 404th.
Is this Colonial Sniper or Warden Sniper?
Yes, Colonial Sniper.
Oh, Colonial Sniper. Actually, then we'll punch it over to Colonial, to Lord Cars' transmission. Could you ask him whatever questions you feel are appropriate, but also, I guess, who he's trying to prioritize, if he's trying to prioritize anyone?
Yes. Yeah, how does it feel to be sniping on the front right now? Is it hard, or is it, like, any different than, well, normal sniping?
Sniper rifle is that interesting.
He said it's kind of interesting because it's kind of a different experience sniping in urban combat.
Lodging, trying to relax, you know.
He said he's been doing a lot of lodging recently, and he's been trying to, and he's a sniper on his spare time, so he decided to pick up a sniper and have some fun.
I see. So let me get this straight. He's taking a break from logistics by being in a besieged house, trying to shoot people's heads off.
You know, you don't want to play it a lot.
He's doing very good at it.
Wow, there's warfare for you. That's incredible. Is he trying to prioritize anyone, or is he simply
anybody that peeks their head out? Anybody who peeks around from the well, I guess from the Warden perspective, the southwest, that crosses the southwest, he'll shoot.
That makes sense. And I guess we'll punch it over to Saq Attack here. Saq, are you aware of if the Wardens on that side of the lines, are they aware of the sniper?
Yes, from what I was able to tell from over there, they are in fact aware of the sniper. Let me go ahead and run over there real quick. You can see just exactly what we're looking at over here. Right now we are kind of entrenched in these houses. We're all kind of just waiting by. Mainly what our priority is all these active defenses right now. We're waiting for a path to get cleared for these active defenses. But it looks like a lot of troops have started moving west. It looks like they're going to start ruining these garrison houses.
Kill all these garrison houses really easily.
It's a slow burn on the way to...
Advanced Ammo Factory's down.
The Advanced Ammo Factory is down at Abandoned Ward. I believe that is in the city itself, not in the outskirts. Actually, no.
No, that is in the outskirts of Plaza.
That is in the plaza. Got it. Okay.
I do have something to report. The bridge to the west, the furthest west bridge has been rebuilt. The furthest west bridge has been rebuilt.
By Colonials?
By Colonials.
Alright, well we'll see if that was...
It's still in a G house defended zone, so it's still entrenched.
Gotcha.
I did not realize how close we were to that garrison house. This is going to be some intense combat. We are right across the street from this garrison house, and I can see all of the Colonials bunked up in there. And on my side, I can see all the Wardens bunked up in here. And it looks like they're starting to get smart, and they're starting to gas out these emplacements right here.
I can see where he's talking about. I just saw the gas attack that just happened.
Now, if we don't get any more reinforcements after this church, I have a feeling that we're going to be losing this flank, which will completely make our west push useless. Oh, yep. And we're starting to fall on the west side, so we may get pushed back. Colonials may have this advantage. They may push us out of this hospital right across the street from the garrison base.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm currently on the front, on the the eastern front. I see a lot of colonial infantry. Well, a lot for this side, but not a lot relatively speaking. I see around 5-7 infantry on the eastern front. That's currently battling with Warden held soldiers and all that.
Well, if you're just joining us, fighting is come to a bitter stalemate, slightly less intense than the initial pushes at night, but still very much a besieged northern plaza here outside of abandoned ward as part of the larger Warden offensive. It seems like a pincer movement trying to cut off abandoned ward, possibly well-placed hits, and just form a big pocket entirely, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
It looks like a little bit of a stalemate right now. The Colonials have gained a leeway. They're on our side of the bridge, but we have a bunch of Foxhole emplacements that are making short work of them right now.
This is Hope's Causeway, I think, right? From Callahan's Booth to Hope's Causeway?
I think so, yes.
Filthy collies.
So that bridge is still up and being fought over, but it does seem the Wardens, from what I can hear, and what I think you just told me, the Wardens do have it locked down with machine guns.
Yeah, they have our side locked down, but they are still on our side of the bridge. So
someone is rebuilding the bridge nearest to abandoned, nearest to the safe house I'm at, nearest to Pommel Annex. It is, I do not know how much B minutes it is away from being completed.
So it seems like the two central bridges that lead out of abandoned ward to the plaza, as well as the eastern bridge that connects Callahan's Booth to Hope's Causeway, all three of them are going to be up soon, or rather built soon. So we'll have to see just where the Wardens go from here, considering they're the ones with the momentum, or possibly even a colonial counterattack. We'll just have to keep an eye on them.
Colonial are counterattacking right now. We have pushed them out from our safe house area. It is currently back up to the fields to the... I have a visual on Warden howitzers. They're approximately 65 meters away. Oh, and then I died. Gung! And a Warden North Star member just killed me. Damn it!
Killed you emotionally, right? Broke your heart?
Yeah, he very much ruined my day. I might have to have a talk with him.
It looks like the bridge at Hope's Causeway and Callahan's Boot is up right now. It looks like we're starting to get 2 Wardens over here, so last time I checked there was at least 4 or 5 different collies, so it's a 2v4 right now. Got a couple machine gunners posted up on here. And it looks like they're about attempting to destroy the bridge right now. It looks like they don't want us to get in there. Because there's a logistics truck right there, assuming that he's building...
Wardens just drove a truck by the safe house.
This is one of those suicide trucks that don't do anything?
I don't think so. I think
it literally just drove out of safe house.
Just gonna throw a grenade, watch out.
It didn't run this. Oh, Bob, some Warden just rushed our safe house with bayonets and killed half of us. It's getting quite bad over here.
We gotta prevent them from blowing up the bridge.
Okay, it looks like the logistics truck at Hope's Causeway is making a hasty retreat. I think he stored his VMATs somewhere safe, so he's going to either grab some more or he's going to park somewhere. But it looks like this stalemate at the bridge is going to last a while. But it's a 2v4, so I don't know when the Colonials will figure that out, or if they even do, before the Wardens can get more reinforcements over here.
A 2v4 at the moment, but I believe both sides have it fortified somewhat with foxholes, if not gun nests. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We have at least doubled our numbers by now.
It's a stalemate on the bridge at Moon's Causeway right now.
Moon's Causeway or Hope's
It
Causeway?
looks like
Come on, guys.
Hope's
The machine
Causeway.
gun will give us some cover.
Okay, it looks like we have some reinforcements coming
Cover
in,
me.
so now it's definitely going to be a 4v4.
Be careful,
Over
they might
at
be
Hope's
hiding
Causeway.
on the sides.
Can you describe the weaponry used by that Warden squad that you're over here?
The Warden squad is, we have 2 riflemen, 1 SMG.
Jeffrey, I'm gonna have to
one heavy
reposition
machine
off the
gun,
front to the rear soon.
Reloading.
By soon, I mean right now. So I'm gonna have to.
Come on, guys.
So
Come on,
have fun.
And
And,
it looks like
sayonara.
Thank you, Cars. Thank you so much.
it looks like the Foxholes over at Hope's Causeway is not defended.
Foxhole.
There is not AI at all. So these are two Foxholes just sitting
So these are
here.
not automated. Hold on. So these gun nests and foxholes are not automated. So Wardens are currently walking across the bridge at Hope's Causeway onto the colonial side of the River Mersey, and pretty much nothing is stopping them except the scant colonial troops that are there.
Nothing is stopping them right now. But we did have an extra colonial troop come in, so now it's a 5v4. And I think we've taken 1 casualty on the Warden side, so now our numbers are down right now. It looks like they're starting to just make bold moves and hop in foxholes, so this is going to be like a 10-15 meter battle right here. Okay, 1 colonial just got downed. 1 Warden just got downed. 1 colonial just got downed. Okay, it looks like a 2v3 now. Oh, I got down.
Well, you took an injury there, but that's all right. Just fall back and walk it off if you can. Reporters never die. That's the saying, right? I think. But regardless, it doesn't sound like high action right now compared to what the plaza was, but just as important, because if the Wardens can exploit the current lack of automated automated defenses northeast of the pits at Hope's Causeway, the Wardens can roll right through. Now, there's probably a good chance that the pits is very much defended right now, but in terms of getting a foothold at Hope's Causeway, the Wardens very advantageous and close this line, close this pocket, and consume the Colonials whole in the center of the Deadlands. Of course, that's going to be very difficult because usually, and I have no confirmation of this whatsoever, but this is from what I know about how the pattern of these things go, usually there's a very, very long line of defenses stretching from salt farms to the pits. Salt farms to the southern city of the Deadlands, all the way to the pits at the relic base there, just south of Abandoned Ward. And usually that line is very defended. Can the Wardens exploit this? Perhaps go around it, cut it off, cut a hole in the middle, or go from the pits and fight their way down viciously to the salt farms? I'm not quite sure. Now, of course, that all depends on what the Colonials do have there. But I do believe that, nope, I think Saq is still trying to get back to the front line. But that's all good. I think, well, with the president, that'll change, because the APCs have been deployed to the war not too long ago, but a bit ago. So we'll see if those will be brought forth anytime soon. Brought forth forthwith. We'll see what happens here. Current combined casualty counts topping in at about 202,000 here in day 132. Wardens slightly leading that number by about 6,000 extra deaths compared to the Colonials, but hardly much of a gap considering the how high the numbers are.
And if I'm going to be honest, that's a lot better than what we did early war. I remember logging on early
Wardens
war
you're talking
and
about.
seeing that. Yeah, I remember logging on and seeing the death toll for the Wardens outnumber the Colonials by at least like 25,000. So we're making some good ground. I'm very impressed with the Wardens in this mid-war right now. I can't wait to see what happens in the late war. That's when it's going to start really getting in there. And it helped a lot for the Wardens, especially because we have such a smaller map in this time around. Last war was a little bit confusing and outstretched because you know, the Wardens just had a way higher player base than the Colonials, and they were able to make some serious damage when Colonials would log off or when they were focused on a different front. It was just a very weird situation the last war. Very impressed with this war.
There's at least like 6 of them on the bridge there, Maximus.
All right, well, keep us updated on what's going on over there. I think we're now going to go to PressCorps Colonial correspondent Frank Smith, who is at, I believe, Liberation Point. Is that correct?
Indeed it is, Jeffrey. Indeed. Am I coming through all right?
I think you're coming through just fine.
Oh, perfect. Yes, it does appear Colonial forces have just begun a desperate attempt to try to hold off a sudden Warden attack here in Deadlands, or Liberation Point. It's just recently started. I actually was out at Deadland, abandoned ward area, but it was too dangerous to cross the bridges, so I figured I'd go to the safety of Liberation when about 15-20 Wardens pushed up.
Now, we were just talking about this with Saq, that the both sides have deployed APCs to the front lines. Have you seen any of these APCs up close here in the 53rd conflict?
Indeed I have, actually. That's what the Wardens are bringing to bear here. They're doing a interesting tactic that I've seen quite commonly now. It appears that it's being taught in the schools. They place the heavy machine guns in the back, facing outwards, and right before they get up to the line, they turn the APC around and drop the ramp, allowing the machine gunners to fire. Although exposed, it does give them a fire superiority.
Actually, that's been a popular tactic for, goodness, how many wars now?
Quite some time.
It's just such a novel idea, and it is prone to problems. For instance,
oh, there we go. Looks like the Wardens have begun their attack again here
at Liberation Point.
Well, just a stray Warden, yeah.
Well, still, very important to keep an eye, because I think these are the opening skirmishes of any possible move to Liberation Point. The Wardens, for some context, for the listeners, the Colonials are looking at a possible pocket being formed. The Wardens have begun to, have long been trying to pincer abandoned ward, it seems, from the southwest of the Deadlands and the northeast of the Deadlands as well. You can, earlier we were just talking with Warden correspondent Saq A at the plaza and the Hope's Causeway, where the wards are pushing down from there, and we could be looking at the opening skirmishes towards Liberation Point as well. Frank, how confident are you that the Colonials are able to hold Liberation Point should a moderate attack hit the town?
Well, at the current moment, it does it seems more of a probe, like you're saying, more of a skirmish. But currently, I cannot be too confident. It's really unsure whether or not the Colonials would be able to hold if a larger force came in. It's quite unsure, considering the circumstances. I don't think anybody expected the Wardens to push through Deadlands like they have. Many have said Sun's Hollow was unpassable. That's why early war planning avoided building the defensive line around the Deadlands region. Nobody thought that the Wardens would push their armor east from Lockmore. But that appears to be what they're doing. Especially if you're around the abandoned ward area, the fighting is relentless. But you'll notice there's a lack of heavy equipment, armored vehicles of sorts. So the question really is where is that armor moving to? What is it up to? What are they preparing for? Because as far as I'm concerned, many Colonials are rather anxious for this weekend to come around. Because we have to, the talks is hold now, see what we can try to do. But many are kind of fearing the worst for Deadlands with the weekend to come.
Yeah, the infamous Warden weekend not looking great for the Colonials. Not only is it lining up with this Warden offensive that is pushing deep into the Colonial central regions, formerly colonial-held central regions, but also the infamous Warden weekend may accelerate that. We will just have to see how that plays out. Frank, keep us updated on what's happening there at Liberation Point. I should also note that not only do the Wardens have a possible path from Sun's Hollow south of Liberation Point, but also west of Liberation Point from the neighboring two regions there, not just Lockmore, but the Lynn of Mercy as well, the southern peninsula out of Lynn of Mercy. So, Frank, keep us updated. We're going to go now to PressCorps correspondent, Colonial correspondent Moth B. Mann, reporting live to us from, where are you, Moth?
I am currently at the pits here in Abandoned Ward, Jeffrey.
And as for the bridge there, I think last we were talking with Saq from the Warden side of the river that the bridge is taking heavy damage. Well, what's the condition of the bridge right now?
Jeffrey, I can confirm now that the bridge has been destroyed by Colonial engineers. Wardens are still attempting to repair the bridge to get across. The intensity here is a little bit more tactical in nature. Instead of an all-out assault, there is a lot of outmaneuvering each other from across the river on both sides of this this gap between both sides here.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, actually, so it had also been reported from Saq that the defenses had not been automated at Hope's Causeway, and the Wardens found that out, or the Colonials found that out the hard way, considering the Warden infantry was trying to get across. Have the defenses been automated now?
As far as I'm concerned, from what I can see from my immediate area, it looks like the defenses are active. But then again, I can't confirm it directly until a Warden decides to step into range of these things. Mm-hmm. But it looks like, at least from the visual representation,
that's the only way to find out.
I can't really tell.
Mm-hmm. You know, honestly, I can't tell with those flags that stick out of the defenses. Sometimes they're green, sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're grayish white, and I can't tell. Truthfully, I can't. But
yeah, I would say it's a little complicated.
Anything else you can see from your current position? Any insight whatsoever?
At the moment, I can see from across the river here on the Warden side of the River Mercy, a few trucks here and an ambulance that seems to be placed away for stowage purposes, seeing as how there is no active combat aside from building up defensive structures here. It doesn't seem to be anything significant going on. As night is falling at this point, it's hard to tell whether or not the Wardens will try a crossing at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Moth. Keep us updated on what's going on over there at Hope's Causeway, possibly on the other side of the river, although I haven't checked in with them yet. Warden correspondent Saq Attack is reporting to us live from, where are you right now?
Right now, oh man.
Taking some fire.
Right.
I can hear you're taking some fire.
Yeah, I'm taking some friendly fire right now.
I see.
Basically, I found out that I was part of the PresCorps and decided to murder me.
That happens every now and then. Thankfully, you dodged that fire. But as for the Warden situation there at the field base, that the Colonials have spotted earlier, so they know where the howitzer rounds are coming from. But how expedient do you think here in the evening of day one, in the ensuing evening of day 132, day 132, how soon do you think we'll see a Warden attack again, restart into the plaza?
Right now, from what I was able to tell, when I was still alive, we still had a boatload of troops moving in to the plaza right now. We're basically at the point where we're surrounding the garrison house, and it's just a desperate attempt to try to repair that garrison house on the Colonial side. Mm-hmm. But right now I'm just trying to find some binoculars so I can go get some more stories for you.
Well, that's quite all right. Going here towards our top stories, if you're just tuning in right now, Wardens on the offensive, a wide-ranging offensive, and it seems phase 1 of that offensive, if I can call it a phase 1, has been complete. The Wardens have captured and locked down the region of Lockmore in the southwest central part of the ensuing part of the 53rd conflict. Wardens, just a few days ago, making an almost clean sweep of Fairmore, the central city in Lockmore, as well as the southern observation tower at Fallen Field, and the Royal Fort down south as well, before closing in on the last colonial vestige of their positioning here there in Lockmore, of the Moon's Copse. I want to say corpse, but Moon's Copse.
Guys, go northwest.
Before being pushed out of there, finally, Warden's knocking it down just a couple days ago, and as well as in Marvin Hollow, where the Colonials are now beaten back to the southern city of Lockheed, a very defensible position considering Lockheed breakthrough and the peninsula that surrounds the city. But Wardens now have an angle into Endless Shore as well from the eastern edge, eastern thirds of Marvin, so we'll see what happens there. But for now, the action has been concentrated into abandoned Ward and the central Deadlands, where Wardens are trying to maneuver their way, smartly trying to maneuver their way through all these colonial positions. And I think we're going to go back here to Warden correspondent, PressCorps Warden correspondent, Saq A. Where are you right now?
Right now I'm at the, right across the street from the safe house at the plaza right now.
The colonial safe house?
Yeah, the colonial safe house.
Come on, guys.
Right now we're moving swiftly, and I mean like swiftly. We're taking advantage of this nighttime, and we're trying to find some good advantageous positions so that when morning comes they have nowhere else to go. It does look to me that the bridge going over to the abandoned ward has been cut off. So they are not receiving any kind of logi support right now. So this is just a desperate kind of attempt to hold down that garrison house while they're shelling. Now they were getting some counter artillery headed up, but for some reason they decided that smoke shells would be a little bit of a use. It's good for blinding the infantry, but when you're aiming at vehicles or other structures, smoke shells tend to not be very effective. The thing about the smoke shells is that they have shrapnel rounds with them, so they're good at decimating infantry, but other than that, I think the collies are just using any kind of ammunition they can to scare off this Warden attack. And it looks like they are breaking into the safe house a little bit. A couple of HE rounds just being tossed around.
Some huge shots coming in.
Yeah, their active AI is the only thing that's really keeping this garrison house alive.
Well, it's, I know you had to fall back. A lot of heavy fire going in and around that safe house. You know, safe house fights, if they're really trying to destroy it, if someone's really trying to destroy it, it gets up close, it gets ugly. This actually goes out to both of you gentlemen. I have you both on the line here. In your opinion, what is the best way to take out, the cleanest and efficient way to get rid of a safe house?
I think the most advantageous position is what the Wardens have been doing right now. Just kind of build up your defenses. Make sure a fob is nearby so that you have all those defenses automated. That way you can go ahead and have enough room to build at least a howitzer or at the very least some mortar emplacements and just shell the place from a distance.
Safe house down?
Oh, it looks like the safe house is down right now, so it looks like we're going to move in.
Go back.
The Wardens still hold the church, or is that just a heavily fought over building?
Shit, go back.
This is just a back and forth right here at the church right now.
That sounds about right.
The one thing that I will say is very efficient is the SMG at close range. As soon as you can even have one guy with an SMG can clear out a close tight room. And that's exactly what they're doing now. They're kind of trading off back and forth.
Well, for those not in the know, the latest piece of equipment here deployed to the Foxhole War here in the 53rd Conflict is the Tier 3 wall. We'll start to see a lot of backline or close to frontline bases. I guess midline. I don't know the term for that, but a lot of bases is starting to refine their positions with some Tier 3 walls, very sturdy indeed. Additionally, before that, harvesters also making their way onto the war. Harvesters extremely popular among logistics, and it's not hard to see why. Very fun to use, I hear, and very, very effective at cleaning up a salvage pile quite well. And of course, field hospitals. That rounds out the last 3 pieces of equipment here deployed to the 53rd. Now it seems all the medics out there are going to have all the tools necessary to keep up with an absolutely overbearing amount of bodies now rolling in. I think we've gone well past the 200,000 mark in terms of combined casualties. I think we're going to toss it back to Moth B Mann, if possible. Moth, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Jeffrey. In that moment, I've been making my way into the town of Abandoned Ward proper. I had just arrived just as the safe house seemed to be under direct siege by artillery shells and gas, it looks like, from my perspective. There are still colonial soldiers holding out in... excuse me, dust.
Is that dust or gas?
Dust.
Okay.
No, I'm across the river. I'm perfectly fine at the moment, but the colonial soldiers in that building are holding their own for what it's worth, I suppose. But the guns have fallen silent for the moment. I imagine that might have been it. Nope, that appears to be one lone soldier hiding out in a window.
Well, urban fighting is always something of a complete mess. That's been the story since the beginning of time, beginning of warfare. But I don't know, Moth. How would from your wise and sage tactical prowess and knowledge bank, what is the best approach here? Do you think? If you were a warden, and you're reporting from the Colonials right now, but if you were a warden, what would you think is the best play here?
So there's a couple of strategies that have been used, and one of them was previously mentioned, is to build up a solid, wall of structures to kind of contain the troops inside. Another one that I learned from a few other units in previous wars was to take an empty supply truck, a logistical truck, drive it directly up to the safe house, and get the guns to fire on it, and at the same time have a couple of squads of men rush into the building and destroy the safe house from the inside.
And yeah, I think we were discussing tactics for safe house destruction earlier, and there's really never a good option, especially when that safe house is garrisoned by colonial troops, or just troops in general.
Yeah, it's an ugly way to fight. Fighting in a building, let alone in a city, is never pretty. It always leads to high casualties, and I would contribute the 200,000 plus casualties, at least at this moment, to primarily the battle for Abandoned Ward taking place in the plaza now. But it seems to me, at least at this point, that the Legion seems to be on the back foot for the last couple of weeks now. It doesn't seem like they've got any tempo going. They're just trying to hold on to what they've got.
Mm-hmm. Possibly even the signs of an overextension. Of course, I don't know if the Colonials can capitalize on that themselves, but we'll have to wait and see. From where you're standing right now, from the island city proper, how many garrison houses are left in the plaza that isn't the safe house?
So the northeastern side of the plaza, or rather the eastern side of the plaza, has little to no actual defenses or garrisoned houses. Meanwhile, on the west side, on the western crossing, there are significantly more garrisoned houses there protecting the bridge. Mm-hmm. At the moment, though, it seems that some of the Wardens are shifting their fire westward to help take care of those buildings before moving on proper.
All right. Well, Moth, we'll get back to you soon. So I think now it is, goodness, what time is it over there in Siva Valley? Is it,
It's still 1:32 for another hour and a half more, I think.
Okay. Okay, so it's the dead of night, complete darkness. Has anyone been using flares?
Yeah, actually, as we've been broadcasting, Colonial Mortar teams and Warden Mortar teams have been using flares over the safe house and adjacent streets to mark targets for fire. As every flare comes up, a target is marked up, and there seems to be just gunfire from every direction at that particular pointed target.
It's an absolute mess from what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's actually kind of gruesome, frankly. Just to see men trying to shift in the darkness only to be illuminated and gunned down.
Well, I think that's unfortunately all we have time for, unless either of you have something particularly pertinent to tell us about here.
No, I think this stalemate's going to last just a little bit longer. I think give it at least another day. Probably have it over at the night's end.
That sounds about right. We'll have to see. Perhaps APCs will make the difference, some sort of wide flank. There are a lot of openings without even leaking any intel in terms of colonial lines and warden positioning. Just from the sheer amount of real estate that exists between these very warped lines now, these very non-linear lines, not very clean-looking lines, at least especially in the Deadlands, there is definitely going to be some sort of opening that either side can hope to exploit, to attack and counterattack from. So we'll have to see what happens here as the stalemate in the abandoned ward continues, but the Warden offensive continues to go on. Can the Colonials bounce back and exploit these kind of weird positions and seize the moment? We'll just have to wait and see. Gentlemen, thank you so much, as well as Frank Smith and Lord Cars. Duly appreciate it. And I think that's all the time we have now for the moment. But as always, stick with us here with PressCorps Radio, and we'll always get you some great music and some great content. Radio dramas, I think, are coming up next. Yep, episode 4 of Commander Rod's Bureau of Occult Warfare coming up next. But for now, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this has been Foxhole Flash. Good night and good fight.
For the PressCorps, I'm Ken Rister, and this is War Weather, your hourly weather report for the Siva Valley War Zone. In the Great March, bright skies, 72 degrees Morrow, 22 degrees Callahan. In Tempest Island, moderate, 61 degrees Morrow, 16 degrees Callahan. In the Deadlands, poor air quality warning has been issued from the high concentration of green ash in the region, 51 degrees Morrow, 10 degrees Callahan. In Orbreaker Isles, calm winds at sea, 40 degrees Morrow, 4 degrees Callahan. In Reaching Trail, gray clouds and not a lot of direct sunshine, 21 degrees Morrow, negative 6 degrees Callahan. War weather at the bottom of every hour. I'm Ken Rister, and you're listening to the PressCorps. From Reaching Trail to the Great March, from the aging ocean to the endless sea, from Fisherman's Row to Godcroft's, live from Studio A in PressCorps World Headquarters, this is Foxhole Flash, bringing you the latest news from across the Siva Valley War Zone.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash here in the 53rd conflict here in the 132nd day of the 53rd conflict of the Foxhole War. We're right back into it. Just when we thought this was a dead zone, it seems that the Wardens have capitalized on, just as predicted, the Wardens have capitalized on the ensuing fight at Liberation Point. I think we're going to Frank Smith now. Frank, what do you have for us at Lib Point?
Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey. It appears the Wardens have brought up their armored force that we were talking about earlier. We have found those armored vehicles now. They are pushing on Liberation Point. About 3 armored cars just out of nowhere sidewinded us. They actually hit Liberation from the west, knocking out a garrison house. But infantry now are moving up with them.
So we have 3 Warden armored cars and a straight shot into Liberation Point from the south, from the Warden relic base of Sun's Hollow. This is a very precarious situation. Warden still maintaining that momentum. Do the Colonials have the Colonials revealed any heavier weapons to try and take those things out?
At the current moment, I do not think so. I think we're still shooting at them. The Colonials are shooting at them with rifles and SMGs at the current moment.
And by your guesstimation, you can give us a range if you want. How many Colonials are there garrisoned at Liberation Point?
Oh, about 12 or so. I mean, honestly, it's a very, very small garrison force, if you can call it that. But there's really not a whole lot here. I think the only thing keeping the armored cars from completely just blitzing through the town is the tank traps that have blocked the roadways in. It's actually probably about the smartest strategic decision the Colonials have made here, was to establish those. The Wardens made the mistake earlier and were blocked off. That's the only reason why they had to kill the garrison house out of fear of losing armored cars.
Well, for now, are the Wardens sticking to the road? Are they trying to push up the road, or are they looking for flank positions?
It looks like they are trying to find a different route other than just up the main road. They've been seen moving west, trying to flank around the safe house. Their target seems to be the safe house to the south. They know if they can knock that out. Oh, there we go. A little bit of fire coming in. They know if they can knock out that safe house, the Colonial position here is... Oh, it does look like a armored car has been destroyed. Looks like it was destroyed by the 1st Colonial Marine Division.
Remember, we can hear your audio, so feel free to ask questions as well, if possible. I know it's not always convenient.
Captain. There's remarkable work you just did there, knocking out that armored car.
You said like one of those old-timey reports. That's cool. Oh shit, yeah, PressCorps. My bad. Fuck me, dude. Yeah, it's like 4 in the morning here, so I'm tired.
Well, it's very evident by the darkness outside. Well, it's nice to see, it appears to be more experienced Colonial. How would you describe our situation here, the situation for Colonials in Deadlands?
Oh man, like, it's looking bad, but we're gonna fuck it.
Alright. Well, there you have it there, Jeffrey.
At the moment, but it's nothing that we can't come back from. Like, we've got efficiency on our side, we've got fucking, like, non-toxicity on our side. We'll manage this. We've got a lot of new players, so they'll get experience, they'll learn how to fight, they'll stop making their mistakes, and we'll sort it.
Do you think it will be enough time by the weekend for the newer recruits to be able to withstand the Warden attacks?
I feel like the Warden weekend is probably going to be a little bit late. Just the Warden burnout. They won the last year as well.
Alright. Was he coming in quiet, or was that just me?
You're damaging the gas garrison.
I believe he is soft-spoken.
Okay.
Soft-spoken there.
Soft-spoken warrior.
Indeed.
But it sounds like things are escalating. So this fight in the Deadlands, spanning from Hope's Causeway to, of course, Abandoned Ward, and now Liberation Point from a completely different direction. You've got, for context, again, for all those listening, Wardens are barreling down towards Abandoned Ward and Hope's Causeway from the north and the northeast. Additionally, Wardens also attacking from Sun's Hollow. Such an interesting turn of events for the Colonials here in what was formerly a lockdown region, and now the Wardens coming in from multiple directions.
Well, I can tell you one thing for certain. With the loss of the spit rocks for colonials, that did seem to mark what began the Warden confidence, honestly, the early war victories here. I think without the success of spit rocks and taking into Callahan's Gate, it put stress on the colonials here, and honestly, I think that stress carried over into Lockmore, because the focus was trying to knock out spit rocks and Callahan's. The colonials were so hyper-focused on it that Lockmore was essentially left open for the Wardens almost to simultaneously just walk into. So I can say, Jeffrey, I'm not entirely surprised to see this situation. The situation unfold. It's just the scale of the situation. Oh goodness, it's getting a little heated outside here.
You know, I've been thinking this whole time. What's it got to be like amongst colonial commanders, possibly even those in Sigil, which is the colonial coalition of regiments that is, or at least with the stated purpose of trying to smooth things over in terms of planning, kind of a little more centralization. What has to be going through the minds of those in charge right now? Any guesses yourself?
Well, I have telegraph lines and radio lines set up there. I can tell you, as quoted by some of the commanders, what the fuck has happened is the stigma across the line. Nobody really understands where this came from. They're just as confused and bamboozled, I think, as anybody else. It's a bit of pandemonium, and a lot of finger pointing. Oh.
So now I think was that a mortar shot I just heard?
That was indeed a very close mortar shot. Alright.
So it sounds like that the Wardens have finally brought some fire support to the fight at Liberation Point. This is absolutely harrowing stuff. Maybe not the most intense fighting right now, but the fact that it is taking part at just the same time as the Wardens are closing in on the safe house, although that safe house is still holding out. It sounds like it'll hold out for another week at this point. But Wardens coming in from multiple directions as well.
Indeed.
And now I know
go ahead.
we don't want to leak any intel, nor do we want to spoil anything here. So, by your best judgment, a very generalized view of things, do you think the Colonials have a chance to break back into Lockmore? That might just be a simple yes or no question.
I think so.
A
lot of factors play in. There's a chance. There's always a chance. You know. Oh. It appears there are Warden infantry. Hello! Hello, you are live? No! Oh!
Get up.
Hello? That's alright. Well, okay, I think Frank might have taken some shots. He might be. I hope he's running away. Frank, you're still there, right? You're just running away? Frank? Alright, well, we'll get in touch with them a little bit later. But regardless, I actually meant to get off about 15 minutes ago, but that's okay. We've got some harrowing stuff going on here in the central regions. For now, I'm PressCorps Colonial Correspondent Jeffrey Jennings, live at the desk here. The Colonial Correspondent, I guess just main anchor. I forget where I'm doing here in the studios as well. But if you're just joining us, Wardens continuing their offensive across the central regions, locking down Lockmore, taking almost all of Marvin Hollow, forcing the Colonials in that region to the southern city of Lockheed. Very defensible, but very difficult to break out of position. And finally, the very interesting layout of the Deadlands, as Wardens look to be trying to mop up the surrounding areas around Abandoned Ward, possibly pushing into Hope's Causeway from the north and hitting Liberation Point from the south. We'll just see if the Colonials can muster together the proper forces and deploy them correctly to try and break this offensive. We'll have to wait and see. For now, I'm Jeffrey Jennings, and this is Foxhole Flash. Let's get you back to the music.
You're listening to 121.5 WPRSS Sunhaven, serving the disputed Siva Valley War Zone. PressCorps Radio. We can do better, and so can you.